Good morning, everybody. We're going to get into an important video, especially in light of Justin Trudeau's anti-hate legislation, his redistribution of taxpayers' monies to those deemed working on anti-racism. Of course, we have the story yesterday breaking of a liberal who gets caught posting anti-Semitism, not just once, twice, but literally years of it. A clear hater of Jews, a Palestinian who hates, and I repeat, hates. He was funded with your money, $133,000. Do you know how hard it is to save $133,000 for your average college-educated graduate? I know I'm one of them, a lower degree. And you know what? It took me to save $150,000 to increase my net worth by $150,000. It took me working blood, sweat, and tears, 20 years of my working life. Not easy years, folks. Like a lot of you, hard, nail, grit, bitten, broken, bloody, nailed work. Hard work, away from home, away from family, suffering in all the elements like so many of you. And that's a guy with probably an upper percentile education. That's reality. For most Canadians, that's a dream of just saving $133,000. This fascist was paid $133,000 in less than 1 year's time from the Heritage Fund. Why? Because he was a liberal. I want to explain fascism for all Canadians and all First Peoples, and I'm not trying. I always make a distinction with First Peoples and regular Canadians. When I say regular Canadians, I mean every other race of people, whether you call it cultural, skin color, tone, or by religion. Okay, folks? There's the First Peoples of Canada, those who originated here, the First Peoples. And even those off reserve fall into the Canadian status who left their culture, whether that was by force, through assimilation, or just the sad reality of what Canada really is. And I want to get into this, folks. When you take the registry from the United States of domestic terrorist organizations, folks, USA has fought more wars and conflicts than any other nation in the world besides Russia. Now, the P5, they have many conflicts too, and this is going to get real interesting for you. How many domestic terrorist registered organizations exist in the Federation of Russia and exist in the United States of America? Well, folks, you can count literally on two hands. Two hands. USA and Russia combined. Two hands. You can count their domestic terrorist registries. Do you know how many domestic terrorist registries exist in Canada, folks? I don't have enough hands. I could fill up my truck with 6 people packed together, and it's still not enough hands. Bear with me, this video is going to get very interesting. Did you know that every conflict throughout the world engaged by UK and France before World War I, after World War II, and beyond, through what was supposed to be decolonization, world binding law? Did you know that every single conflict where Britain fought for its colonial assets and France fought for its colonial assets? Now remember, folks, fascism, you think Germany, right? Germany? Well, Germany had a bunch of colonial assets too. Do you know who got awarded all those colonial assets? Give you a hint. Je ne sais pas. Oui, oui, oué, oué. Yeah. They got all of them. UK holds the most still today. Many, many. Did you know that all of our domestic terrorist organizations are all registered within all of those colonial assets? I want to give you the definition of fascism. Canadians, and especially the First Peoples, because it's imperative for you to understand this too. Careful who you support and what narratives you get behind in this filthy crown society called Canada, folks. And it's credible, real, verifiable. You can all look at this. When you start looking at things as they really are, it all starts coming together and you go, holy shit, I'm in a fascist society. Now, fascism, can all go open it up in the dictionary. Centralized autocratic power, a hierarchy of a supreme human being who has an ultra sense of nationalism. Now, Canadians, before you say, well, that's not true in Canada. Oh, yes, it is. Go read your preamble of your Canadian Constitution. You transmit all of your sovereignty to the United Kingdom, specifically the pre-World War II British Empire, French Empire, backed up by Upper and Lower Canada. Your design. First, second, third class savage Indian. If you don't understand the defining definition of fascism applied to Germany, alt-right, ultranationalist, I don't know what to tell you. That preamble, the status of Canada, its terrorist domestic registries, exemplifies this truth. If you don't support that crown, if you don't put forward first and foremost the supremacy of this first-class European, specifically to the British Empire and the French Empire of old, as it's defined in Canada today, forever and a day since 1867, you're not Canadian. You will swear that oath of allegiance to that crown. Anti-hate network. Do you know what their color scheme is? Red and black. Red and black. Canada First, that Roman dildo. Red and black. Red and black. These are their color schemes, their logos. Yin and yang. You're alt-left, you're alt-right. I don't think so. It's all under, clearly, the Church of England and that entire history. When you chase the anti-hate network, you take the map of the world as they projected. I already did a special on this. The only one real news and real truth that no other journalist in Canada wants to do, which is the truth, or would ever do, was to go evaluate their map of how they view the world in their racist view, where they say who's racist and who's not. Apparently, the Catholic Church isn't. Genocidal, maniacal Church of England isn't, even though they have the largest source of eradication and ultra-genocide in Canadian history. Real. And there's still a ton, just like the Holocaust deniers of Germany. That's Canada. Never happened. You'll find people from the right and left that say it never happened. It never happened to the first people. But it did. Anti-hate network is no different. Go find a story on the first peoples. You won't find any. Go on Canada First. Go find a story related to the first peoples. You won't find any. There's no racism there, right? Interesting. They use the same color schemes, both of them, supposedly polar opposites, but they share one thing. They both are in love with the crown. they adopt the crown, the definition of fascism. See how the Canadian politicians aren't guilty? That Liberal got 133,000, even though he hates Jews. Do you know why he's not being prosecuted? Do you know why he's not being fined? Do you know why he's not having his bank account seized? It's because he swore an oath to the crown. He's a colonial, which is the anti-hate network in the American First entirely. When you chase down Romana Dildo and her whole organization, when you chase down all the key representatives of the Antifa anti-hate network, Trudeau's little brainstorm child, and the Canada First, which Pierre-Paul Vey likes so much, when you start looking at their narratives, you find that there is the British Empire and forever and a day colonialism. It's all about replacing all of you. And I'm not talking Anglo-Saxon crazy here. I'm talking about taking everyone around the world sworn to the crown. We're talking India, where Canada has literally no trading relationship, no viable trading relationship, none whatsoever, except for taking crown-sworn Commonwealth loyalists to come to Canada to lower wages, to increase more people, as many as they can get, to work for lower wages in the slave class, while the first class collects more revenue and stuffs their fat face. If you don't know the definition of fascism, I think you should go look it up in its history. You will find, again, Colonial War 1 and 2. You will find the divinity of a first-class society. And it's all crown. The German Empire, you can go on and on and on. Do you know who's registered in Canada on the domestic terrorist organization? Imperial Russia. Well, if we're going to put Imperial Russia supporters on that list, shouldn't we also put Empire of Britain, Empire of France, and on through all the colonials? Because last time I checked, Russia never flew Russians anywhere in the world to replace the domestic population. They certainly didn't rape the first peoples of any nations to replace them or put their DNA into their society by force. You will find the 7 colonials did all this. Now, if I look at it, and I look at the definition of fascism like all of you are going to do, I certainly hope you go look it up in the dictionary. That's the definition of Trudeau, Paul Levere, Jagmeet Singh, and the rest. Forever and a day. They even use all their colors. It's all in their party schemes. You'll find it. You'll find the blue, the orange, the black. You'll find it all. The red, the blue. You'll find it. You'll find it in all the lunatic colonial countries in the world. You won't find stars in any logos. Stars represent regions, real federalism. You won't find that in any of those narratives. You will find fascist color codes and color schemes of colonial times and colonial periods. Those should be your number one source of racism and anti-hate. Those should be the first thing addressed. Class structure, equality of the person, we the people. Maybe if we started there, we could fix this country. But it seems that the craziest, as long as they love the crown, nothing ever happens to them. If they've sworn an oath to allegiance, when you start looking at these people, who gets their bank accounts frozen and who doesn't? Who gets fined and imprisoned and who doesn't? Because the last time I checked, I thought all this stuff was illegal in Canada. Trudeau's got all these laws. They've been passed. But yet, as long as you've sworn the oath of allegiance, as long as you're a crown colonial and you support the system of oppression and fascism as clearly defined in everybody's dictionary. Everybody's. Go read Webster. Go read Oxford. But Canada says, no. As long as it's within the colonial realm of what we are, that's perfectly acceptable. All those people get a pass. In fact, they get to steal your money. They get a pass. But not you, the low-life, degenerate third class, or especially not the savage Indian. You will be persecuted forever and a day in this country. You won't find anti-hate or Canada First addressing that. You won't find Trudeau, Paul Revere, NDP, or Green ever address any single radical that has a love for that fascism, that version of fascism attached to the crown. That's okay. That's okay. You get a free pass. That's what they give them. It's sick. It's wrong. It's degenerate. It doesn't belong in the world today. And again, none of those domestic registries are found in the Russian Federation or the United States of America, not even under Joe Biden. Only in Canada. Americans are hated here by the establishment. That goes for conservatives, liberal, NDP, Green, all of them alike. You will find that their immigration policies here in Canada are fascist. It's about replacing all of you. It's all about colonialism. It has never changed. It's all about reducing the First Peoples to nothing. They hold 87% of the country for your elected and their appointed politicians that grow forever and a day. Their wages always continually rise well above inflation. I watched a video with Pierre Poilievre eating breakfast, talking about just inflation as he's stuffing his fat face. Do you know how many Canadians can't afford that $15, $17 breakfast, Pierre? And you're just, no problem, because you're not affected. You got a raise just like all the other politicians. You've been in politics for 15 years as a federal MP. Ottawa, Laurentian MP. Canadians don't like to look at things as they really are. He has not suffered a day. He's never worked more than 15 months of full-time work outside of his political establishment, meaning he's been on the socialist tit of the taxpayers for already 18 years. I've worked blood, sweat, and tears at these hands for more than 20 years of my life. I started working when I was 14 years old. I don't beg for money like Trudeau and Poilievre and Jagmeet Singh. These people don't work. They're crown-sworn, crown-loving, brought up in the crown, complete, serious socialists, divine-believing human beings. The epitome of fascism, the absolute definition of fascism. An entitled elite with full power and authority over all of you. Read it. It stems from Europe, specifically Germany, a colonial design. Just like what was the British Empire at the same time period, what was the French Empire in the same time period, which was the Portuguese Empire in the same time period, which was the Spanish Empire at the time, which was the Japanese Empire at the time, which was the Denmark Empire at the time. Many of them are still unitary states. Even some remain monarchical. But they had to eradicate all of that constitutionally. Russia and USA made them, as well as China. If you don't know your history, go look at World War II. And if you think USA won because of the superior, they barely won that war. They almost lost. So did China, and almost so did Russia, folks. But they battled back. Not one of those three have ever participated in any real, meaningful way in colonialism. None whatsoever. They've never, and I repeat, never gone around the world transplanting American citizens or Russian citizens or Chinese citizens in other countries to replace the domestic population through rape or through eradication or full-on dehumanization, assimilation. You won't find that. You won't find that. Even Ukraine, look at who rebuilt Ukraine after the Mongolian scourge across Europe. The Mongolian Empire nearly became king of the world, known world of the time. Look what happened to Ukraine. Look who rebuilt it. History's not always what people like it to be. It doesn't mean you make it up as you go. It means you take it for what it is. Because when you look at the world as it really is, and you start examining your country as it really is, you start to learn all the truths as they really were and they really are. And then you can make change. But when you let your government transplant all these groups and organizations, when they oppress people in what they figure their opposition, you get fascism, which can come up at any time, the next Hitler. Justin Trudeau is brutal. He's probably the most brutal prime minister we've had in a very, very long time in Canada. He pisses me off to no end. But he's only a symptom of a design flaw, which is Canada forever and a day. It's been a design flaw for all the First Peoples of Canada who've suffered like nobody else and clearly still suffer today. Other countries have eradicated a lot of these problems and still work every day, like the United States, every day to correct these flaws. They work through it. Roe versus Wade and the Democrat bullshit. And I call it out as Democrat bullshit because I can see in this Biden administration, he would love nothing more than to be a king over Americans. He would love nothing more than to manipulate, lie, and steal from them. Constitutionalism is your highest laws. It tells you a blueprint of how to govern. A real constitution tells you how to govern, provides for accountability, and it gives governance, rules of governance. So those who govern and how they're to govern, there's rules to that. Checks and balances. That's real constitutionalism. Now, the United States Constitution, not perfect, very old. Roe versus Wade. What was that about when the Supreme Court overturned the landmark Roe versus Wade? It was an improper judgment. Not because it's about abolishing abortion throughout the United States. Now, there's the pro-lifers that maybe thought that was going to happen. It's not what it's about. It's about what is the legal blueprint and design of the United States? Well, that is the division of the state power. It's not to be a federal mandate, and the Supreme Court of the United States made the correct decision. They gave it back to each and every state to make that determination. And they are. And guess what? Abortion laws are going in many states as it's their power. Didn't change anything. And then we see that lunacy of, see, it didn't work for the Republicans. That's not what it was about. It was about rule of law, equality of the person, division of powers, real federalism. That's where Roe versus Wade belonged, to each and every state. Not a power of the federal government to blanket across the country. It was to give decentralization a chance because they were centralizing the power. Another definition of fascism. It's also the reason why domestic terrorism in the United States has a small registry, and in Canada, an explosive registry that literally transcends all of the British Empire and French Empire exploits all over the world, all the people they've oppressed. We see 3% for four organizations added last year by Justin Trudeau. 3% Proud Boys. Did you know USA didn't do that? USA didn't add 3% because they have the Second Amendment. That's a right of the people. Now, that's illegal in Canada, and if you do make an organization of more than 5 people, and especially if you arm those people and you say an armed resistance, you're a gang and you'll be transformed into a domestic terrorist organization. But what about anti-hate Antifa and their antics? They're okay because they're crown sworn. 3% not okay because they're American. See the difference? They're about quality of the person, the power of the people. That is anti-fascism. Whereas in Canada, we're fascist. Our government first class is absolutely fitting the bill defined in the highest laws of our land as fascist. Go look at the definition, pick whichever dictionary you want. American Webster, British Oxford, go to the Canadian Encyclopedia, go look at all the variations of the fascist definition, and you will find the government of Canada in its first-class political system, its hierarchy system, fits the definition of fascism nearly to a T. So if you're anti-hate, anti-fascist, you must be anti-government. Oh, no, because you're not really that. You're pro-crown, so you're pro-fascism. Germany was crown colonial. Canada is the definition of crown colonial. Nazi Germany was crown colonial. Germany is no longer designed that way. They got an imposed constitution, the first one handed out. Japan got the other. And then they went on, the Allies, to do 84 countries around the world. Those who didn't participate, 22 of them, no longer are countries today. Should have rethought that. My good friend Richard Albert just did a presentation back in May. He just released that publicly, a free paper, and his presentation live. It's unbelievable, on a world constitutional court for violating countries. I read it. I would have liked him to hit the UNSC more than I would have liked the General Assembly, because the General Assembly is chock-loaded, 70% full of unitaries and full-on dictatorships and autocracies. But he says, well, this way it won't be binding. Well, I believe, in my opinion, that if it's not binding, it's got no teeth. And we've already all seen that in the world today. I think the biggest problem today is USA and Russia figuring out the Declaration of Human Rights. Because Russia only cements the Declaration of Human Rights when USA cements the Convention on Decolonization. It's conditional. And if you don't have the five cementing it, it leaves it a weakness. So USA needs to once and for all end the crown. And I think that would destroy people like Joe Biden forever and a day. That would destroy them. They wouldn't be able to attach themselves to fascist countries like Canada or the UK and their narrative with their royal family and the 53 Commonwealth nations. It's truth. This video is going to be highly, highly toxic for the political system here in Canada. I can see this one causing me trouble, possibly. I can understand if people don't share. There's a lot of truth bombs in here, but in Canada, does it make me an enemy of the state? I would think so. And I start to wonder about a lot of things, but it's up to you. I don't see the video going down. There's nothing in here that's a lie. It's all truthful, but how does it register with our first class, and especially on their narratives of domestic terrorism? You've got to wonder. And people ask me, why go to the States? Well, you've got to go where there's a solution and have a back door on things too. I have a lot of work to do in the years to come. And unfortunately, we don't live forever, folks. And, you think, I'm 44 now. How many good years do I have left to continue on the campaign run, to be doing tours, to be active, and to get that money? And you got to work for it, because unlike our Canadian politicians, I actually work for my money. I generate for the country. Always have. I am no socialist. They're the socialists. They're the divine socialists who get all the benefits of capitalism with none of the expenses, and the same for socialism. You want to talk about ultra-nationalists, that's your divine politicians. Whichever party you pick, You're going to get the same results every time. Are there lunatics? Is Justin Trudeau the worst? Yes, he is. But I promise you, Pierre Poilievre may do 3 or 4 things you like, but he's got literally 172 policies he never tells you about. They're in writing. They're posted in Parliament. He made a deal with Trudeau, with NDP, with Green, and he has a whole bunch of backers, and he signed it off. Vice chair. That's how he's going to finance the country, off of your asses. No real difference than Trudeau. Slight differences. Will he be as autocratic? Maybe not, but maybe. Either way, I always find that they flip-flop, but we're the biggest losers every time. And I'm not as old as my parents, who worked knuckle to the bone all their lives too. All their lives, all the way to retirement. My life is harder than theirs. The rewards in my life are much less than theirs. My children, I don't see any rewards for them. My son is probably more responsible than I was at his age, and he's nowhere near I was much younger than him. His affordability and the crown thievery has only increased. The amount of socialist divine bums we support is only that much higher. And in fact, Canadians, if they make any gains at all, it's on the overvaluation of the very limited amount of Canada made available to us, 10%. And it's much, much worse for the First Peoples, folks. Much, much worse. They get only 0.2% of Canada, and when you look at the population of the 2.6 million First Peoples, that's pathetic. It's pathetic that 10%, less than 10% are made available to 38 million people, the slave class. That's pretty pathetic. Pretty pathetic for this giant, massive country. But they say we must grind them to dust through absolute colonialism, pure fascist centralized rule, Upper and Lower Canada. Pure fascism, folks. There's no other definition that fits the bill. Your number one fascist, defined by all dictionaries. Pick one. You can even pick the Russian. I can bring that for you too, and they'll tell you what fascism is. China will tell you what fascism is. Not very different at all, folks. Even Oxford tells you clearly. Your Canadian politicians in the design of Canada are the fascists. They make all this legislation against all of you, scour you to the bone for every little misstep you make. You will be fined, you will be jailed, you will have your bank accounts frozen, but not them. Not them. Rules for thee, but not for me, because I am the divine politician, I am the Lord Supreme, and I am your fascist dictator. Do you get it yet? Do you get it? The First People get it. They've gotten it for many, many, many generations. Sick, depraved, pure, sick, fascist. Rule forever and a day. They know it well. Share. It's a dangerous video to share. It's chock loaded full of truth, and it's very anti-government. I mean, how can you not be? It's anti-fascist. Don't trust that anti-hate network, and don't trust Canada First. Look at their color schemes. You'll find they use the exact same color schemes in a laughable joke, because they're probably funded by the Crown, and they are the fascists. They are. They support the Crown. That makes them pure fascists, according to the definition. Both of them. Alt-right nationalists, of course. They give the sovereignty to a foreign country, the United Kingdom. Articulated very well in the preamble of the highest law of the country, the Canadian Constitutional Act, 1867, reinforced 1982, plus all 11 amendments. Read it. 2/3 of it goes through the ultra-nationalist pure fascism, the elite crown, and what that is actually defined as, the supreme human beings over slaves and the savages. If I could pick any document in the world to be the worst of the worst, It would be the Constitutional Act of Canada, where it defines fascism as the only way to rule. Pure fascism, which is Trudeau, Poilievre, Jagmeet Singh, Elizabeth May if she wins the leadership, which looks like she'll be retaking the reins, Yves Blanchette, and on and on and on. And Canadian history is loaded with it. The persecution of the Jews. I had a woman tag me on my timeline. Can you explain these years of Montreal, Quebec, and explain the significance? It's like, well, it's pretty easy. They had a petition to get rid of all the Jews out of Canada. Massive signatures. That's what Canada is. That's France and Britain in age of empires forever and a day, and we're still like that. The government will target you, but not themselves. Again, this racist motherfucker, liberal, got paid $133,000 for tweeting about Zionism and persecuting Jews. Where's his fine? Where's his jail time? Where's his charges? Where's the suspension of his bank accounts? When are they going to arrest him? Oh, they don't. They don't. And you're out all your money, folks. Rules for thee, the third-class slave, and of course, the filthy savage Indian, but not for me, the divine politician. Oh, that's different. Sorry about your losses, Canadians. Let that be a lesson to you. We stopped sending money to him. Okay. Is he on a terrorist watch list? Oh, the British Empire didn't fight them, or UK didn't have a conflict in the last 30 years. Better not register him. He loves the crown, so he's okay. He gets a pass. But remember, Canadians, if you get into any conflicts with anyone against the crown, you join anything like that, you're going to be a domestic terrorist. Yeah. Don't support the United States of America. Get in any of those groups of we the people and the like against the crown. You'll be put on a domestic terrorist watch list. Oh, Russia too, by the way. We don't like federalism, and we don't like people defined in the Constitution. No, no, no. And no regional powers. You're all filthy animals or slaves. Savages or slaves. That's all you get. Work hard. Make me money. I am your divine fascist. I am crown. I am the epitome of sickness. Alive and well today in the world. Supposed to be eradicated, folks. Supposed to be eradicated. But it's alive and well in Canada, and it's the ruling system in Canada. 212 pages of the Constitutional Act of Canada, 1867, 1982, plus all 11 amendments, and still fascism reigns supreme. The finest example of fascism defined by almost every country in the world is the ruling power of Canada. Think about that. This video will probably get you in shit. I say share it, but that's to each their own. You have the courage to share it, share it. If you're worried about it, maybe you should be. I don't know. You can get in a lot of trouble when you resist the crown, that's for sure. But I say do it, but I don't want to see people in trouble either. It's all individual. It's your courage. You decide. All truthful, all honest, all there for you to look at. Thanks. Bye now.